Well, it's Friday, and you all know what that means. That means once again we have AEW Rampage. We have some very interesting matches that are taking place for that particular. We have Penta El Cero Miedo taking on the Butcher. We have the Acclaim in action. So is the Gates of Agony, even the Bang Bang Gang. But the main event is Mina Shirakawa taking on Serena Deeb. And then after that, we're going to find out who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. We're gonna find out. And then, of course, we cap up with this episode with some news updates with, of course, what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including some developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as, of course, who's signed, who are in discussions of being signed, and the whole 9 yards. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay Roddy here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos. We talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be gaining a lot of daily reviews and, of course, some really cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, it's time to rock and roll. So, let's begin with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage. It opened up with Penta El Cero Miedo versus the Butcher. Now, I know we talked about Penta before, outside of the situation behind the scenes towards his contract, but nonetheless, he is an amazing wrestler. I mean, I met him before, guys, and it's no BS. I have photos of him when he was here in my hometown of San Diego for an independent show. So basically, he is the same thing. He is doing what he does. However, there was a moment where we did see Alex Hamantis got hurt. Penta went to check up on him, see how he was doing. But however, this could have lost focus for him due to the fact that he's putting his priority towards Alex first, and of course, his match second. But however, he cannot allow him to lose a very important match for himself, knowing that he has to make up for losing to Takeshita about a week ago, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So basically, he was able to pick up the win. But the one thing that was surprising, he was able to lift them up for the fear factor. That is the most impressive thing, and I'm sure many of you were surprised about that. But nonetheless, he picked up a fantastic win. Now, as soon as Penta was on his way out, apparently, hey guys, yeah, he showed up, but this time he went straight to the commentary booth, and he kind of was giving Daddy Magic some advice. Now, I'm sure Daddy Magic's like, what is wrong with him? I mean, and then of course Brian Keith goes out, tells him, "You better show respect to Jericho." He's like, "Hey, I respect him the most." But the problem is for Daddy Magic, it's like, what is his deal? What is his problem? You know? And I think that's the thing that's bothering Daddy Magic, that he knows what he's doing. He's learning as he goes, but he doesn't need him to tell him how to be a commentator. I'm sure it'll eventually come to him. So we'll see what happens. Now, as you know, the Acclaim, they've been dealing with the whole situation with the EVPs, but right now they're dealing with two guys, um, a Hunter Gray and what's his name? Parvix. Hopefully that's I pronounced it right. But yes, but nonetheless, this match ended with, of course, with the mic drop, thanks to Max Caster. I think he got it onto Parvix. I'm not sure yet, but yes. So they picked up a win, but not like the good one or the awesome one that we needed. But nonetheless, it was a win. Then we see Shane Taylor Promotions doing out a video promo saying that they are willing to take on the baddest. But however, now they're targeting its Top Flight and, of course, Action Andretti. As you know, these three guys have been very impressive since we've seen them team up. However, they're willing to stomp on them. But the real question is, can Top Flight survive this one? These guys are no slouches. But we'll see where that leads us. Now, our next match, we have the Gates of Agony versus Private Party. Now, we don't know exactly how this was going to be out because Private Party, as you know, they're trying to make a name for themselves as possible, but when it comes to the Gates of Agony, you know how they are. The Hounds have been unleashed since they're no longer part of the Mogul Embassy. But of course, this match was going to end with them winning the match when they applied open the gates onto Isaiah Cassidy, but it was Teo Leona who actually picked up the pinfall. Now, our next match, we had the Bang Bangs gang, Juice, and the Ass Boys, while Jay White, who's right there by their side, take on a couple of enhancements, Caleb Crush, Chris Wilde, and Tyler Payne. Now, you probably ask yourself, this is the first time we see a Juice Robinson in the match in a long time. You know, he came back after being injured. But this match ended with, of course, with Juice picking up the win for his team when he applied the Juice's Loose. I'm not sure if it was Caleb who actually ended up being on the end of that, but yeah. And then they did a little promo. Apparently, they were doing this thing like kind of like knighting people. Apparently, they're making Juice Robinson as part of the trios belts, but as the fourth member. So basically, it's like this, kind of like they're throwing a bit of the free bird rules and of course the Bullet Club rules, something we have seen over time. But yeah, that's what's been happening. So we'll be seeing more of that as we go along. So now our main event, we have Mina Shirakawa versus Serena Deeb. Now, it's no secret that Serena Deeb is the master of putting you in a hole. She's very methodical, but we also know that Mina Shirakawa is also very methodical. Now, if you guys ever seen her matches in the last year and a half or so, she has been mostly targeting her opponent's knees. That's exactly what she was doing with Serena Deeb. That's one of her trademarks, using that way to disorient her opponent. Now, you would think the Serena Deeb, who is a veteran, would have picked up the win, but no, it was Mina Shirakawa with the glamorous driver, and boom, just like that, she picked up the win. Mariah May came out to celebrate, but Toni Storm comes out, and apparently decided to throw in a truce. Now, obvious thing is, I don't think I have this thing where the truce is going to be broken at some point. I don't know. But we just got to wait and see because they are going to face each other for the AEW Women's title um, at the Forbidden Door by the end of this month. But yeah, we'll see how that rolls. But right now, let's move on with our next and last review, and that is NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our first match, we have Tank Ledger taking on Tavon Heights. Now, remember, Tank Ledger has been normally kicking it with Hank Walker, but due to some circumstances, Hank Walker is not cleared to wrestle. So he has to go on his own. But good thing he has support from Hank, who's by his side. Now, of course, it's not the same thing, but Hank needs some guidance. Notice that he hasn't been a singles wrestler for a long time, but he has a full support of his buddy. So that helps. But however, Tavon Heights, who is a collegiate wrestler, his wrestling style would have been much effective. But unfortunately, that didn't do any well for him because, as you know, those who know this or not, Tank Ledger is a big fan of Bully Ray. He used his signature move, the Bubba Bomb, giving himself a good win on this one. Now, before our next match, this interview relates to that, and that is, of course, Sarah conducts an interview with Ren Sinclair, talking about her, this and that, but she moved on to her match against, of course, Adriana Rizzo from the family, so that's something you would think. Now, of course, we haven't seen Adriana Rizzo that much wrestling. Now, if you guys are familiarized with Ren Sinclair, you may have known her as Maddie um, Rinkowski or something like that. But yeah, she does have experience. But nonetheless, I think many people were probably rooting for Adriana Rizzo, who is part of the family, which is one of the most popular factions in NXT. I think that would have been played out well on that one. But I'm sure Adriana Rizzo is determined to rise in occasion, grow so much. And she kind of did like a flip move running off from the ropes and picked up the win. I was so surprised. But nonetheless, it picked up a good win right there. Now, our main event, we have Riley Osborne and Duke Hudson representing Chase U taking on Drake Monroe and Javier Bernal. Now, Duke and Riley's appearance is now divided and hit 50-50. People were booing them, people were cheering. Now, you probably ask yourself, why are they booing them? Well, after what happened this past Tuesday on NXT, they did not show any support to Thea Hale. That was the main reason why. So, but however, Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne were able to be cohesion no matter what. That's a very impressive thing to see. But it was, of course, Duke Hudson with the inverted DDT that picked up the win for his team on Drake, and just like that, they won. But we will see how things will progress with Chase U this coming Tuesday. So I think that's pretty much it right now with NXT Level Up. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So this may be one of the longest ones we will do on this particular part of the episode. So bear with me because there's a lot of, mostly coming from GCW. As you know, we start out with the updates on the promotions for upcoming events. So GCW has the stack of it. So I put it all in one group until we move on to the next part of the promotional updates. Now, uh, on the 15th of June in LA for the Hit 'em Up, it was 2 matches have been announced for that particular day. We have Thrusty taking on Garbage Daddies, which, it's not just Alec Price and Cold Roderick. They even got Jack Cartwheel involved. So it will be Dark Sheik, Alley Catch, and Effie against Alec Price, Cold Roderick, and Jack Cartwheel. Just to make things clear. Then we have, of course, Mega Bane taking on Sandra Moon. So that's going to be really interesting to watch. And then, of course, on the following day in Phoenix, Arizona for the I Can't Feel My Face, Joey Janela will get in ring against Broski Jimmy. I'm going to presume that this is payback for getting screwed for the GCW World title. So hopefully Joey Janela gets his little payback. Now, on the 28th of June, they will be heading to Houston for No Sleep. They announced that the GCW World title will be defended. Matt defends his belt against Dante Leon, someone who I haven't seen for quite some time. But yes. And then of course and then in July for on 18th in Louisville for Believe in Me, Billy Starks will face against Rachel Armstrong. Then of course the following day on the 19th of July in St. Louis for No Sign, Sydney Akeem, formerly known as Scripps, will be in action to take on Myron Reed. And then the following day on the 20th in Indianapolis, don't tell me what to do, General Manager Matt Cardona will be there, and Nick Gage will be in action to take on Hoodfoot. And then, of course, in August, on the second in Cleveland for Now and Forever, it was announced that Mega Bane will be in action as well. And then, of course, we do know we have the homecoming event taking place in Atlantic City on the 24th and 25th of August. They announced, of course, I did mention Danhausen will be there, but they announced that Mance Warner, Matt Cardona, and Big F and Joe will be there as well. Now, we continue on. As you may know, this coming weekend we have the Puerto Rican Weekend produced by Max Santana. Well, they just announced that the most despicable person will be there, Charles Mason, to take on Dan Maff. This is going to be a very interesting match. Now, as you know, on the 11th of June, I think that is this coming Tuesday in Corkin Hall, Mighty Gold will be having their upcoming show. Now, I don't know what the order of the matches will be, but this is the information I got. We have Miku Inoue, Koiki Amari, Chika Goto. They will face on Bozilla, Zeta Steel, and Myla Grace. Ooh, Bozilla and Zeta Steel. Last time, Bozilla got mad with her. So, ooh. Then we have, of course, Mirai giving a debut match to Komoko Minami. Now, remember, I mentioned her name before. Komomo is, in fact, was supposed to be part of the batch of wrestlers that came out at the same time with Aya Sakura and, of course, Hanako. So that's the same one. So this is her debut match, just to make this on the record for all of you. Then we have, of course, Victoria Yuzuki taking on Suri. We have Utami Ayashida taking on Bachin! Darede Takahashi. Then we have Nao Ishikawa versus Nagisa Nozaki. Then we have tag team action, Masakurai and Misa Matsui taking on Natsumi Shozaki and Chiaki. So yeah, that's for. And then of course we have, of course, the collaboration between three promotions, West Coast Pro, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, and Prestige for the Untouchable events on the 20th of July. They announced that Titus Alexander will be there. So that's pretty much what's the updates on our promotions. So basically, let's get started with some interesting developments that we've been hearing about. Now, you may have remembered not too long ago there was discussions about the Von Erichs, where of course they were talking about them being signed. Now, according to what they were saying on their podcast, they've been talking to two promotions, and I was going to presume that AEW was one of them. Well, Wrestling Observer reports that AEW are in discussions in signing both Ross and Marshall Von Erich. So we know they have appeared on AEW before, so that is, of course, very common to hear. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens until then. Now, some of you are excited for the whole TNA WWE probably working together. Now, it appears that there's more to the story that we don't know about. It appears that no one in TNA had known that the TNA management had a deal with WWE. So some people were kept in the dark. That, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. That's something I cannot say. But I'm sure many people, especially the WWE fan base, will probably be excited for it, but we'll see where that goes on. Now, as you all know, there's been talks about Natalya that her contract with WWE is expiring. Now, Fightful Selects, the WWE has confirmed that their offer to her and it's still on the table. However, there's been high expectations from other companies. But there has been also recent talk, and this one was reported by Wrestling Observer, and this is what they had to say. Regarding Natalya, whose deal is up soon, nothing has changed. Her deal is coming soon, but she hasn't signed the new offer deal. So the real question is If the offer has been said and nothing's been signed, I mean, what is going on here in that level? That is something we don't know. There's been talk about recently about Natalya, the possibility she could leave WWE and make the jump to AEW to appear at the Owen Hart tournament. That is something that's been talked about. Now, it's nothing been confirmed or has been said, but don't forget there is possibilities things like that could happen. So don't quote me on that, okay? Now, as you may have heard, Chad Gable's WWE contract expired. Now, there's been talks with key people within AEW that are in talks about wanting to sign Chad Gable. Now, I don't know how Chad Gable fans would feel about that, but do you think he'll be a fine addition to AEW? Well, we have seen that before, but we'll just wait and see until something is confirmed. Now, during a Black Label Pro event, Kevin Koo called out Raj Diz, formerly known as Jinder Mahal. Now, this is the first time something has happened, but, well, not in reality, like for anybody, but for Jinder Mahal. So we'll see what happened. Now, speaking of NXT Level Up, as you know, we talked about Javier Bernal. It's been reported by Fightful Select that he is now being sidelined due to with a broken foot. So he will miss up to 6 months after following surgery. So he will be out of action for that long. So hopefully he gets fully recovered. Now, excellent news right now for all Deadlock Pro Wrestling fans. If you guys have never seen this promotion, go check them out. Deadlock Pro Wrestling is originally from North Carolina, I believe. Uh, they just announced that they have a deal with Wrestle Universe. That's right, the streaming service from Japan. And this is what they left on their tweet. DPW will now also be distributed on Wrestle Universe for our upcoming show, starting with our last month, Limit Break. The goal is to reach broader international audience. We've always had a great relationship with DDT and Tokyo Pro Wrestling, so this is a natural fit. The events air on tape, delayed weeks after the first air of DP's home service, DPW On Demand. All DPW W events are still exclusive on DPW On Demand. The DPW OD exclusive content also includes upcoming events, live stream, DPW 24/7, higher quality VODs, prelim matches soon, and more. We are excited to see the future holds for working relationships with DPW and Russell Universe. So this is good news for them. Yes, it's true. We have seen the collaborations between both sides, so that is something we could expect. Now, you may have heard recently that we talked about Penta El Cero Medio, regardless about his contract being expired. Well, apparently, Wrestling Observer reports something very interesting. It appears that Penta has been unhappy with certain things. Now, this is what they had to say. Penta was unhappy some time back when he wasn't allowed to on shows with CML talent, but to a degree, that looks like it's been worked out. Tony Khan indicates he has confidence Penta would stay with the promotion. Others said that Penta was looking at buying the rights to his name to make sure he can take the gimmick to WWE if necessary. But the belief in other circles is that Penta is looking to explore his options when his current deal expires. So basically, of course, there was a problem with that because at the time, Penta was still working with AAA, and they were not allowed to be in Forbidden Door because of the relationship with New Japan. I know it's kind of crazy, I've been seeing this a lot before, you know. So yeah, so there are those who hoping that he would stay. So we will see what happens from here on out. Now, as you all know, Rossi Ogawa, on the other hand, he is practically happy with his new promotion, but he explained the revealment what was behind it. And of course, he just revealed that it was Triple H who actually gave him the push that he needs. So this is what he said. Triple H said that whether it's in Stardom or an individual I want to cooperate with Ogawa wants to do, he pushed my back. So basically, he gave him that nudge to do something about it. So that's very awesome to hear. Now, Arisa Nakajima once again has been on Tokyo Sports talking about, of course, her relationship with Shuri. Now, as you know, Nakajima will be retiring real soon, and this is what she had to say. I think a lot of people don't know about our relationship now, but she's an opponent I fought against occasionally during my JPW days as a member of the same generation. At the time, she was doing martial arts while also doing pro wrestling. I saw her struggle with weight loss, and I feel that we fought in the same era. Since joining Stardom, I thought I would never face her again, and I was a little sad about it. So this time, I'm looking forward facing her at the very end in my retirement road, and I'm looking forward to experiencing Stardom Sudi in the way that's different from back then. So, yeah, basically, it was a now or never situation. Explains why Sudi has been added to a match in Sealing. So, it makes perfect sense. Now, this is a name I did not expect that I was going to talk about, and this is from a wrestler named Cuartero. Apparently, this guy was, if you guys know who he is, he's a luchador who I've seen many times. This guy was arrested on assault, and the person he assaulted is someone you guys already know, Stephanie Vakir. Yeah, apparently charges were filed against him, and apparently Lucha Blog mentioned this right now, and this is what they said. Cuartero was denied bail at the hearing on Wednesday. Same reasons as when the came up previously. There were concerns that he may still be a threat to his victim, Stephanie Vakir, prior to his trial. A follow-up mentioned that there's also an investigation into threats against her. So basically, they're worried that even if he was granted bail, there was the risk of her life, and it's very understandable, guys. I mean, if there is a threat towards her life, it's better to keep the bastard locked up. I feel that that's necessary. So I don't blame them for that. I mean, it's the right thing to do. Now, Kamitani once again was an interview with Tokyo Sports. Talked about Queen's Quest and driving her as the new leader. So this is what she had to say. Momo Watanabe is strong, but she also is incredible intuition when she gets in the ring. In the past, it doesn't matter to me anymore, and I said the things I said because I have faith that I'll be able to create something interesting. I'm going to make sure that um, that the dream is realized soon. I've also been looking at others in Stardom that could join us. For example, Rian, who recently made her debut. But I've also looked at people that left recently. They're still former members and friends. Unfinished business in the ring. I'm going to make Queen's Quest as big as possible and revive it once more, and I will change the landscape. So, do you guys think she'll pull it off? I don't know, but she seems confident enough about it. So, we'll see about that. I'm sure many of you are looking forward to it. Now, you may have heard what's been happening. This is our final update here on our development section. As you know, there's been talks about wrestlers who were unable to wrestle with wrestlers from CML, and apparently this is coming from the Wrestling Observer. They talk about a policy update regarding Mexican talent working at the same shows, including AEW and Forbidden Door. So this is what they have to say. The update policy is that the things are subject to negotiations with AEW, CML, New Japan. Seems that people have not worked for AAA of late, but our Mexican born will allow to appear on the shows with CML talent. The belief is that they include Forbidden Door. We were told because Phoenix hasn't wrestled in AAA for such a long time that it appears that on the show was fine. Rush was a different situation as he was on the show but didn't wrestle. It is confirmed that unless things change, Commander, since he holds the AAA Cruiserweight title, will not be allowed to work on shows with CML talent, nor Hijo de Vikingo when he is healthy. If things are consistent, Bandito when he's back, he should fit in the category with Phoenix. So apparently there's certain situations, since we do know that Vikingo and Commander are still with AAA and they've been active with them, they're not allowed. But the situation is with guys like Phoenix and Bandito, who have not been showing up at the promotion that for that long. Well, they do get an opportunity. There could is a possibility they could wrestle and Forbidden Door and with the talent with CML. So we'll see how that rolls up. I'm sure many of you are quite curious about it. So I think that's pretty much it for all of our news updates, and I think we covered everything in our review. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. My bad. But first things first, I want to apologize to people for two things. One, I was unable to add in another review. I didn't get the hope to do that because much of the time, which is reason number two, was because I took too much time with, of course, with our news updates. It almost passed. It took a lot longer than I anticipated, but I apologize for that. But of course, I'm giving you guys information that should be spread what's been going on. So I'm apologizing for those two reasons. But as for our next episode, we do have Collision. I believe Choco Pro does have their much recent event. I haven't decided yet if there was going to be another one. I'm considering also putting Sukeban since I haven't seen it yet. I know this one is from last month, but it's not too late for that one at all. So we'll see how that rolls up. But as we speak, we do have the latest Stardom show. I heard some things have taken place, but we'll see how that rolls up. But as of right now, the plan is Collision, Choco Pro, and possibly Sukeban, but we'll see what that leads us from here on out. But as of right now, I will see you guys on the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.